Hello.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Hey, you're right, Dave.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks mate.
I want to ask you a quick question. What made you want to turn from a fighter into a trainer? It must help trying to understand a fighter as you once were a fighter.
Yeah, I mean we're going back some time now. I started during the last couple of years of my career. I started training kids. I ran Brendan Ingles' second gym, and then after a few years, and when I left Ingles, then I set up my own gym, and I just focused on being a trainer because I had good kids coming through, and I took it from there really. Set up an amateur club, had a few amateurs coming through, really good little fighters, and then a couple of them ended up being old enough to turn pro, so they turned pro, and so I got my pro trainer's license.
I want to say, you get some fighters who turn into trainers, but you're not only a trainer, are you? You're a promoter and a manager. So what
Yeah.
made you want to become a promoter and a manager?
Well, the only reason why I became a manager and promoter really, well, I would have probably done it eventually, but I didn't have any thoughts on getting those licenses. It was I basically got one of my a kid that I brought through amateurs, then he turned pro. One of the promoters that was around at the time, not around now. They basically told the kid that while he was with me, he wasn't going to get any fights. So I let the kid go. We're still mates now. We keep in touch now. We're still very good friends. But at the time, I had no strength in the game or anything. So I'd let him go. And I remember saying to myself, I wasn't gonna be put in that position again. So I was gonna do it myself, and that's why I became a manager and promoter.
You most definitely are a big factor in British boxing at the moment as well.
Just to add something onto that as well is you've obviously worked with a load of absolute world class fighters. One
Yeah,
I did want to ask about was David Haye himself, the Hayemaker.
yeah.
How did that partnership come along?
Well, funny enough, Adam Booth and David, obviously they were together for quite some time before they actually started Haymaker Promotions. But they kept, I met David when he was up in Sheffield, and it was just a chance meeting. I'd done a bit of training there. As I'm walking out of the gym, at this point he's an amateur. He's just, he's waiting for his first pro fight, I think it was.
Yeah.
And this guy's just walking past me, and I recognised him, and I'd only ever seen him on the BBC at that point, when he boxed for England at one point. And as I walked past him, we'd actually physically passed each other, and I just turned around and I just went, "Are you David A?" And he turned around and went, "Yeah." And that's how it started. We started talking. He introduced me to Adam. Me and Adam just, got got on really well right from the start, really. And then we kept in touch. I went down to their fights every time David fought early doors. I kept going to all his fights. Adam would look after me down there, and then they'd start saying, one day we're gonna end up working together. We'll do something together. We'll do something together. And it was never the right time. And then one day he rang me up and he said, "I'm coming up to Sheffield. Have you got time for a catch up and a chat? I've got something that I want to put towards you." So we met up in I think it was in a Starbucks. We had a chat, me, David, and Adam, and they talked to me about what their ideas were for Haymaker. They were setting up Haymaker promotions. We was going to be meeting with Golden Boy and having a chat. And he says, come out to Cyprus, see what the setup's like and everything. So they flew me out to Cyprus. I spent a week out in Cyprus seeing the setup and everything. And I was like, well, this ain't a bad job to have. So I accepted, and I took on the role of head of boxing for Haymaker.
Definitely went well though, looking at his career.
Yeah.
What do you think of the likeliness of David Haye coming out of retirement? Well, I don't know if he has. Has he retired? Has he
Um,
officially announced it?
he did, but then he also said he's training wants to come back because obviously, looking at Tyson Fury and you're looking at
Joshua coming through the
coming
ranks
through
as
the ranks
well.
as well.
What do you think of the likeliness of him actually fighting again?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. It's difficult when you're not around somebody. You don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
what training they're doing, what their actual thoughts are. If he says he's going to fight again, then you've got to say, well, it looks like he might fight again. But he's been saying that for quite a while, and I
Yeah.
think he went out to America, and he was supposed to be announcing some big news about who he's going to be with and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I
I
remember.
don't know. Me personally, I think he's been away from the ring a little bit too
Too
long.
Yeah.
His style as well, that he's a sharp,
Yeah.
fast twitch, reflexes, things like that. I think when you're out of the ring that long, I think it'll have a bit of effect if he was to come back. I don't know. I
No.
really don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think a lot of people know at the moment.
No.
I just want to talk about your stable actually. One of the people that I love following are the McDonnell brothers.
Oh right, yeah, good kids, nice kids there.
Yeah. Obviously, big name at the moment in Britain and world. He's stamped his name in the world.
Yeah.
WA world champion, bantamweight, Jamie McDonnell. What can we expect from him? And who will his next opponent be?
Well, he's just started back training now after his 17th holiday of the year. He likes a holiday or two. He does. But he works hard. He works hard to make the weight. So he deserves to have a bit of time off. But yeah, he's back now. We've just started back training. He's just got he's got some weight to shift. And then we're probably looking at January when he'll be out next. We don't know who yet, but we're just in the middle of sorting things out. So hopefully it gets wrapped up soon. But it'll probably be back out in the States again, to be honest.
I don't know if you guys thought about. I know he only recently won the WA champion for bantamweight. Sorry, have you thought of him moving up in weight? Because
Yeah.
it's more domestic. Obviously, it's more rivalry in domestic with Carl Frampton, Scott Quigg. Gib
Yeah, I
Callahan.
mean it's not just those two, to be honest.
Oh yeah, America. as well.
When Jamie does step up, which he will do, he's massive for the weight,
Yeah.
and it is hard for him to make the weight, make bantamweight. So it's inevitable that he will step up. We might get one, maybe two more fights at bantamweight. We'd like to get Payano, the super champion, but if that's not there, then the possibilities are we step up. Stepping up, the easiest match to make is obviously Scott Quigg because he's with Eddie Hearn, and so is Jamie, obviously. But Carl Frampton, that's a big fight. That's a big fight, and I do think that stylistically, Frampton's a fight I'd fancy for Jamie. I really would. I'd fancy his chances in beating him, definitely. So that's something that's there. But then there's Seja who just had a big win
Yeah.
the week before we was out there with beating Kameda. And he, after his win in his post fight interview, he actually called out Jamie McDonnell. He said if he wants to step up to super bantamweight, then he'll give Jamie another shot. So that's an option there of collecting a belt, stepping up at super bantamweight. So there's big fights. We've heard some of the Americans talking about Santa Cruz. So at super bantamweight, it's not just the domestic fights. There's a whole host of huge fights for Jamie McDonnell out there. And being honest, he's only interested in securing his family's future and the paydays and the big fights. He's not interested in the smaller fights. So he'll take whatever that pays the biggest money. And to be honest, the smaller weights, they don't get paid very well.
Yeah.
In comparison, they don't get paid very well. So if there are big super fights out there, although they might be tougher and you might be able to have easy defenses back home, he doesn't. It doesn't do anything from that. He's not interested in little pay packets here and there and everywhere. He'd just rather go out there, have a good training camp, have a big fight with a big paycheck at the end of it, and then have a bit of rest and then go again. And that's his mentality.
Get as many holidays in there as he wants, then,
Yeah.
can't he?
Talking about super bantamweight, we also got another.
Excuse my dog 1 minute. I think somebody's just walked past my house.
Nah, that's all right.
Okay,
No problem.
that's all right. Talking about super bantamweight, you've got another fighter, another McDonnell brother, which is Gavin McDonald, third in Britain, fighting on the Chris Eubank show.
Yeah.
What's in store for him? How's his preparation going?
Well, preparation's gone brilliant. It's our first fight together. Although his brother's had two fights, it's actually his first fight because he had the original date put back.
Yeah.
Because of Jamie's fight. So, he's had a good long stint in the gym with me, getting to know each other. There's a lot of things technically that I've been working on with him. So that's helped him out with the fight being put back. It's helped him out adapting and getting used to things. And also his weight, his strength and conditioning and stuff that I've done with him is all different to what he's used to. So again, he's had a lot of time to settle in, and his weight's fantastic. Usually, fight week he doesn't eat. It's absolutely terrible what them two are used to doing in order to make the weight divisions limits. But he's showing me pictures about what he had to eat last night, what he had to eat this afternoon. He's in really good spirits because yesterday he had 225 grams of carbohydrates. He's never ever been able to do anything like that. So he's in a really good place mentally and physically. He's got a tough fight on his hands on Saturday, to be honest. Excuse me. He's got a tough fight. The Frenchman that's fighting, Jeremy Parody, people remember him from the Carl Frampton fight. And to be honest, he's better than the Frampton fight. What you got to remember is Frampton's levels above what Gavin is.
Yeah.
So I think when he fought Frampton, he possibly thought, he felt a bit of his power and thought, right, I need to be a little bit on my bike here, hitting and moving. I don't think he's going to do that with Gavin. I think he'll look at Gavin, look how he fights in the past. He's not got much power. Isn't particularly fast. I think he'll fancy his chances coming forward, and excuse me. I think he'll fancy his chances coming forward and trying to take Gavin out.
Yeah.
That moves us nicely on to our next question. You did briefly mention on Frampton there. How far do you think Gavin is himself from the likes of Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg?
Oh, now listen, I'm not even thinking about those sort of fights yet.
Yeah.
What you got to remember is Gavin's had 15 fights.
Yeah.
He's very inexperienced. He's very green. It's just about it's about him settling into being European champion. If you go back to the days of Bomber Graham, Johnny Nelson, them guys when they were around first time round, British fighters used to win a domestic belt, win the British title, then sometimes move on to a Commonwealth, then go on to a European. And when they get out of the European, they make a few defences of that. Get bedded in, learn the trade at European level before they'd go in against a top-rated, world-rated fighter, before they chase that world title. I think with Gavin, it's imperative that he does settle into being a European champion before we chase any world titles, because he's very inexperienced, like I said, and I think, to be honest, he's kind of overachieved. When you look at him, he's won so many belts, but yet when you look at the amount of fights he's had, he's not experienced at all. So I want him to have a couple of defences of the European and that sort of level, so he can learn, he can become a better fighter all round, and then he's ready. He's ready to step up towards world level. And we'll see how it is. Having said that, listen, this is a business. If Eddie were to come onto the phone tomorrow and say, he's got a crack at a world title against so-and-so, then you're not going to be an idiot and turn it down and say, oh, no, he's not ready for it. He's a European champion. If a world title shot came up, then obviously you'd take it. But, you're not going to hear me shouting for world titles and, if touch wood, please God, we get past Parody. You're not going to hear me in the interviews afterwards saying, oh, yeah, we're looking at him, we'll go after a world title now. No, there's none of that going to be spoke about. It's about becoming a better fighter and being ready before when you step up.
And I was thinking that when you talked about Gavin McDonnell, about the belts he's had, I was looking at the belts that he had and through the fights that he's had and the belts he's got, like European champion. A lot of people become European champion in like this 20 fight. And him doing that, in 15 fights is amazing.
That's what I mean. He's achieved a lot in his short career.
I wanted to move on to another fighter that you're associated with, Tony Bellew. Amazing fighter, obviously. He's fought the likes of Adonis Stevenson, Nathan Cleverly
himself,
Yep. He's ranked 3rd in the world. 3rd in Britain, 11th in the world.
Who's he ranked? Who's he ranked behind it? What ratings are these you looking at in Britain?
I'm just looking at Sky Sports. Just Sky Sports in general, I'm just looking at, obviously.
Who have they got 1 and 2?
Good question. I'll just double check for you.
It's quite an interesting one, that is.
That's what I was looking at as well. Bear me a moment.
Go on, who've they got 1 and 2?
But yeah, just as he's just looking at that, just a quick few questions on
Yeah.
Bellew. Obviously he's come through the Cleverly fight, which is obviously a massive win. He's
Yeah.
moving on from there. And what do you think we can expect from him in the next 12 months?
Well, December 12th, we've got a big fight, which will be announced very soon, next week or so. So our focus is on that and nothing beyond, to be honest. It's going to be a big fight, a very tough fight. So I think the fans will be happy to see him in something meaningful. What they've got to remember is that, the last what's happened lately. They fought cleverly and then obviously had 9 months out of the ring. Now, when you've had 9 months out of the ring, you need to just get on where you can, and so therefore he's had a couple of 8-rounders, just to shake off some rust. The last one was a case of somebody else pulled out of the show. We had a phone call. Do you want to take a slot on this show? It's 8 days' notice. You're never going to be in a big tough fight at 8 days' notice. It's just a case of getting out there and getting another fight under your belt, and also getting. Let's be honest. Fighters don't earn money unless they're fighting. So it was a fight that was offered at last minute. So he had a lot of stick because he wasn't fighting somebody dangerous, wasn't fighting a top contender. That's never going to happen on 8 days' notice. But on this one, December 12th, people are going to be happy because it is a legitimate fight. It's a proper fight.
It's definitely a fight. I think any time Tony Bellew fights, the fans kind of get excited for that. It's a big fight in the British calendar. Just obviously popping back on where I've said Tony Bellew was 3rd rank.
Sorry,
I think he's made a mistake. He's 2nd, just behind Olai Afolabi.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I was going to say...
I apologise for that, Tony. If Tony's watching, I apologise for that, Tony.
Well, I was just trying to figure out...
Yeah,
I figured that they might have Afolabi at number 1, but... I couldn't figure out for the life of me who was going to be number 2.
That's what I was thinking, because he beat Nathan Cleverly. Now I was thinking, maybe I'll check the old stats. Sorry about that.
Is that a fight? I don't know. Maybe further in the future. But is that a fight with Ola that you think could happen?
I think, to be honest, I think Afolabi at the moment isn't. He got beat by Ramirez, and we've been chasing Ramirez. Obviously got a draw last time out, but he's got the belt, and that's who we've been chasing. So Afolabi, he's I don't know what he's doing, who he's coming back against, whatever. But no, unless he had a belt, then there's nothing there at the moment to fight Afolabi.
What about,
like I said, we've got to fight December 12th, and we've got to focus on that one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Most definitely. Just moving on. I know you mentioned working training at Ingle Gym. Just wanted to know what was special at the time when you were at Ingle Gym.
At the time, you had great fighters. There was Naz, there was Neville Brown, there was Johnny Nelson, there was Bomber Graham, Paul Silky Jones, Slugger O'Toole. There was good fighters, and even the guys that were on the circuit were class fighters. You had guys that were on the circuit that like Wayne Windle and Graham Burton, and guys like that were real fighters. The gym was just full of atmosphere, and it was great times. You had Ryan Rhodes coming through as a kid. It was just really good, and then as time went on, you got the new breed of Pelly Reid, John Thaxton. We had good times there. The vibe was brilliant. It was a proper gym. And it was just, unless you was there, unless you were involved in it all, you can't really imagine what it was like. It's like it's like nothing that I've ever seen since.
Probably going to throw a question at you now that you've probably heard a million times before. Who was the most talented you've trained with in your time?
I've trained with. It's got to be Naz.
Yeah.
Without doubt. People only saw. The funny thing is what the fans saw in the fights. It was only a percentage of what that man was capable of. We saw stuff that he used to do. It was just absolutely phenomenal. He was a genuine talent. It was unbelievable. But his attitude was unbelievable. Everything about him was just off the wall. You'd be up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, out playing snooker and stuff like that with him. Going for walks the night before a fight. It was just a one off the wall totally. just the mentality was different. He just refused to lose on everything. He had to beat you everything. If he was beating you at pool 5-0 and you wanted to stop, he won't let you stop. He'd want you to carry on playing so he could beat you 10-0. That's what it was like. And I was really shocked that it's not the fact that he got beat. It was the way that he didn't come back from it. We always used to say in the gym, I feel sorry for whoever beats him because he'll come back and absolutely murder him. Because if in the gym, if you caught him with one good shot, you'd absolutely crap yourself because you knew that he was just going to open up on you, and that's what he did. He didn't allow anybody to have a sniff of coming anywhere near him, and but after I don't know what happened with the Brer fight. He got beat, but he didn't have that hunger afterwards, and that's what surprised me.
Do you feel like, I know he had a lot of hand problems, he had hand injuries, do complain about his hands quite a lot, and we've seen in certain videos his hand has swollen up.
His hand was always like that, a big lump. I think it was the calcium buildup they had at the bottom of his wrist, going onto his hands. He always had them problems.
Do you feel like he could have done more? I personally think he could have done much more.
He could have done much more. Yeah. He went. The problem is, people say it was, it was because he left the Ingles. No, it wasn't. It was because he stopped listening to Brendan. It wasn't the fact that he left. He stopped listening to him and started thinking he could do things his own way. And I'm talking about a long time before he left. So he started going downhill a long time before he left that gym. Because a trainer can only tell and advise the fighter what to do. But if the fighter chooses not to listen to him, what can he do? And Naz had stopped listening to Brendan a long time, and then then obviously when they did go their separate ways, it just went downhill really quickly.
And I think quite because I remember Emmanuel Stewart saying something similar to that when he trained him. But let's move on to another fight that's happening. Chris Eubank Jr. Can we first touch on Chris Eubank joining Adam Booth? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's the best thing that could have happened to Chris Eubank. I had a bit of a laugh with Adam about that because it's something I didn't see at all coming. But if Adam's allowed to do what he needs to do and what he wants to do with no interference, then I think he's the man that can turn Junior into a very good fighter. A very good fighter.
I think Adam will be a big factor in Chris Eubank's career.
Yeah, definitely, without doubt. If he's allowed to be.
Yeah,
then he will be. Yeah.
I know his he's part trainer because he's got another trainer that's training him as well, isn't it?
He's also got Chris Eubank Senior there as well, hasn't he?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But just wrapping things up slowly, kind of running out of time. But we've got a couple more little things just to mention. Have you potentially spoken to Kell Brooks since the injury?
No, I haven't spoken to him at all.
Any ideas on how he's doing? Obviously, I know you haven't spoken to him, but I don't know if you've heard anything which we may.
I haven't got a clue, mate. I haven't got a clue.
I
know he'll be absolutely gutted come Saturday night when he's watching the show.
Yeah.
He'll be absolutely gutted because I know he just he loves to fight.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
What do you think about the Anthony Joshua and Dylan White fight? Because they've got a lot of animosity between them.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity, and I think a cool head wins that. I think if Joshua goes in there desperate to put hurt on him but doesn't think about things and is reckless, then that's the only chance that he gives Dylan White a landing a big right hand. But other than that, I think Anthony's. I think since they last fought, I think he's the one that's improved a lot more. And I think that once he starts, landing his shots and his accuracy, and I think he's very fluid, especially for an heavyweight. When he puts shots together, he's very, very fluid in his punches. I think he'll beat Dylan as long as he's 100% focused. I think it's quick as well. I think it's like in between 3 and 5 rounds.
Really?
But I think while it's going, I think it's a great fight because Dylan could, listen, if Dillian lands one of his big shots on him, he can take him clean out. Dillian can punch. There's no doubt about that, and he's a fighter as well. He's got, he's a tough guy. He's not just all mouth.
Yeah.
So I just think that I just don't. I'm not sure that Dillian's defense is good enough, and I think that's what the difference is. I think defensively, it doesn't matter how tough you are. If somebody that's got the ferociousness and accuracy and speed of Joshua's landing on you repeatedly, I think he's going to take you out. And I think that Dillian, his defense will let him down a little bit.
But Joshua's got a lot of power. You've got a lot of power. Everyone that
he has. But listen, I hope. What I'd like to see is Joshua take one or two punches and be a bit under pressure, and so he can show us, that he can handle being put under pressure. Because the problem is with these heavyweights, with them all, they can all look fantastic when they're knocking everybody out, but until you see them put under pressure and see how they handle being put under pressure, the back to the ropes, somebody throwing bombs at them, taking one or two shots, seeing how they handle that and come back. That's the way that, then you can say, wow, he is the real deal. He has got everything. That's the thing that you need to see him in heavyweight boxing, especially with all these young guys, all these young prospects that are coming through. They can look sensational, but you just don't know until somebody gets hit by a guy. Listen, anybody that's 16.5 stone, that's got these tiny little 10-ounce gloves on, that hits anybody on the chin, anybody can get put out. And that's what makes the heavyweight division so exciting.
I just want to ask you one last question before we wrap it up. I just want to ask you, a lot of people ask what's the top 5 fighters ever. But
sorry, I missed that. You broke up then.
Sorry, I just want to ask you, what's your top 5 fighters currently? Any weight, just currently fighting now. What's your top 5 fighters?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm a massive fan of Terence Crawford, and I've been on the bus for a long time when he was coming through. I was fortunate enough to meet him out in America, and he's a really nice guy as well. Crawford's one of, I think he's one of the guys that's going to take over from your Mayweathers, from in the future as one of the pound for pound best. But the top 5 fighters at the moment, you've got to say, are you talking about favourite or best? How are you saying it? What we're doing here?
As in the fighters that you like. As in your
right, the fighters that I like right now: Crawford, Golovkin. I love Cotto. Oh gosh.
Put you on the spot, yeah.
I'm just trying to think who else. Obviously, he doesn't get a lot of credit, but Rigondeaux, he's special.
He's special.
I love watching Kovalev. The guys like that, really. Is that 4 or is that 5? Come on, help me out here.
That is.
We're gonna go with 4. We're gonna get 1. We're gonna get 1 more out of you. Yeah.
One more out of you. That was 5, but you thought 1 more. Just.
Do you know what I'm trying to think who else there is?
I'll break it down for you. Actually, I want your top 3 in Britain. How about that?
Oh, top 3 in Britain.
Yeah.
God, that's even worse.
Anyway.
Top 3 in Britain. Well, you've got to have Khan up there because of what he's achieved. It's a difficult one because I know people talk about his losses, but he's been out in the States playing his trade and becoming a star out there, a star in world boxing. So you've got to put him in the top 3 really domestically. I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I like to watch Kell Brook, obviously. I'm purposely not mentioning any of my names, otherwise I'd be saying Jamie McDonnell's up there because I think you've got to because of what he's achieved. But I'm not mentioning any of my guys. Do you know what? I'm struggling. Do you know what it is? It's trying to narrow it down to 3 when you know that many different fighters that are out there. It's difficult to narrow it down to 3 for me.
So you've given us a long list there already of great fighters. Obviously, Khan Brook would be a great one to come up against each other.
Yeah, that would be a good fight. I'd like to see that fight, definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us today, Dave. Wish you the best of luck and all your fighters the best of luck. And
cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
Hope to speak to you again soon.
Anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much.